What if the conflicts inside you are not confusion, but 7 goddesses all speaking at once? Hello. Good evening. Or maybe it's already late at night where you are. Welcome to the Stillpoint. If you're new here, thank you for finding us. And if you subscribed, you're part of a quiet community now. People who think, who question, who seek. Sometimes I wonder about the lives on the other side of this screen. The cities, the small towns, the different corners of the world where you might be listening. The stories that brought you here. If you ever feel moved, the comments section is there. A quiet place to leave a thought, a moment, a trace of where you are. This is your refuge. For the next hour, the noise stops. The scrolling ends. You don't have to do anything. Just be here. You're safe. Let's begin. There is a woman who wakes one morning and realizes she does not know who she is. Not because she has forgotten her name or her history, but because she contains multitudes, contains contradictions, contains voices that speak different languages, want different things, pull in different directions. She is the woman who wants solitude and connection, independence and intimacy, achievement and surrender. She is all of these, and none of these. And the culture keeps telling her to choose, to be one thing, to have a clear identity, a consistent self. But she cannot, because she is not one woman. She is many, and those many have names, ancient names, goddess names. Jean Shinoda Bolen, Jungian analyst and psychiatrist, offers a map, a way of understanding the multiplicity that lives inside every woman. She takes the Greek goddesses Artemis, Athena, Hestia, Hera, Demeter, Persephone, Aphrodite, and shows how they are not distant mythological figures but active psychological patterns. Archetypes, forces that shape how women think, feel, relate, and move through the world. Each goddess represents a different way of being female, a different set of values, a different relationship to power, to others, to self. And every woman contains all of them, in different proportions, with different levels of consciousness. Some goddesses dominate, some hide in shadow, some emerge only in crisis, but all are present, all are real, all are asking to be recognized. This is not about finding your one true goddess, not about taking a quiz and discovering you are Athena or Aphrodite and then living according to that single archetype. That would be another form of limitation, another box, another way of reducing the complexity of female experience to something manageable and marketable. No, this is about recognizing that you are all of them, that the conflicts you feel are not signs of confusion or failure, but evidence of multiple goddesses speaking at once. The part of you that wants to focus on your career and ignore relationships, that is Artemis or Athena. The part that longs for marriage and commitment, that is Hera. The part that wants to nurture and protect, that is Demeter. The part that feels passive and uncertain, that is Persephone. The part that craves beauty and passion, that is Aphrodite. The part that needs solitude and inner peace, that is Hestia. All of them, all at once, all legitimate, all real. The goddesses can be grouped into 3 categories. 3 patterns of relating to the world and to others. First, the virgin goddesses. Artemis, Athena, and Hestia. Virgin not in the sexual sense, but in the psychological sense. Complete unto themselves, not needing others to define them or complete them. Focused, independent, self-contained. These are the goddesses of autonomy, of goal-directed behavior, of inner authority. Women in whom these goddesses are strong do not derive their sense of self from relationships, do not need to be chosen or validated by others, can be alone without being lonely, can pursue their own goals without guilt, can say no without explanation. These are powerful patterns, necessary patterns, but they have shadows, can become cold, isolated, unable to be vulnerable, unable to receive, unable to let others in. Second, the vulnerable goddesses, Hera, Demeter, and Persephone. These are the goddesses of relationship, of connection, of being defined through others. Wife, mother, daughter. These goddesses need relationship to feel whole, derive meaning from connection, find identity through roles that involve caring for, committing to, or being chosen by others. Women in whom these goddesses dominate are relationship-oriented, are deeply affected by the quality of their connections, can be devastated by rejection, abandonment, or loss, can lose themselves in service to others, can become victims, can suffer profoundly when relationships fail or children leave or partners betray. These patterns are also necessary, also real, but they too have shadows, can become dependent, can lose autonomy, can be wounded by the very relationships they need. Third, Aphrodite. She stands alone, is neither virgin nor vulnerable, is the alchemical goddess, the one who transforms through relationship but is not defined by it, who loves but does not lose herself, who connects but remains sovereign, who brings creativity and passion and beauty into everything she touches. Aphrodite is the goddess of subjective experience, of being fully present in the moment, of valuing process over product, of relationship as art rather than duty. Women in whom Aphrodite is strong are magnetic, creative, passionate. They fall in love easily, create beauty naturally, transform whatever they engage with. But they too have shadows, can be irresponsible, can lead destruction in their wake, can prioritize passion over commitment, can be accused of being selfish or shallow or dangerous. Understanding these patterns, these goddesses, helps explain the conflicts that tear women apart. Why you can want marriage and resent it. Why you can love your children and feel trapped by them. Why you can be successful in your career and feel empty. Why you can be in a passionate relationship and long for solitude. Because different goddesses want different things. And when they are not recognized, when they are not honored, when one is forced into silence so another can dominate, there is suffering. There is internal war. There is the sense of being divided against yourself, of never being able to satisfy all the parts of who you are. Culture makes this worse. Culture has preferences, rewards certain goddesses and punishes others. In traditional patriarchal culture, the vulnerable goddesses are rewarded. Hera the wife, Demeter the mother, Persephone the compliant daughter. Women are told to find their identity through relationship, to be nurturing, to be supportive, to sacrifice their own needs for others, to be chosen rather than choosing. The virgin goddesses, Artemis, Athena, Hestia, are more problematic. Artemis is too wild, too independent, too unwilling to be tamed. Athena is acceptable only if she serves male authority, only if she is the good daughter who never challenges father. Hestia is invisible, is the spinster, the woman who chose not to marry and is therefore suspect. And Aphrodite is dangerous, is the temptress, the homewrecker, the woman who follows her own desire and therefore threatens the social order. Modern culture shifts the rewards but does not eliminate the conflict. Now the virgin goddesses are celebrated. The career woman, the independent woman, the woman who does not need a man. Artemis and Athena are rewarded with professional success, with autonomy, with the right to compete in male domains. But the vulnerable goddesses are devalued. The woman who wants to be a wife is seen as lacking ambition. The woman who wants to be a mother is seen as wasting her potential. The woman who admits to needing relationship is seen as weak. And Aphrodite is still dangerous. Still the woman who is too sexual, too passionate, too much. The culture has changed its preferences but not its insistence that women choose, that they be one thing, that they suppress the goddesses that do not fit the current ideal. And so women suffer from trying to be only Athena when Aphrodite is screaming for expression, suffer from trying to be only Hera when Artemis wants freedom, suffer from trying to be only Demeter when Hestia needs solitude, suffer from the internal conflicts that arise when multiple goddesses are active but only one is allowed. This suffering is not personal failure, is not weakness, is not confusion, is the natural result of being a complex being forced into a simple category, of being a woman who contains multitudes in a culture that demands singularity. The first step toward wholeness is recognition, is naming, is saying, I am not one thing. I am many things. I contain Artemis and Athena and Hestia and Hera and Demeter and Persephone and Aphrodite. Some are louder than others. Some are more developed. Some have been in shadow for so long I barely recognize them. But all are present. All are real. All have legitimate needs and desires and ways of being. And the conflicts I feel are not signs that something is wrong with me, are signs that I am whole, that I am complex, that I am refusing to be reduced. Artemis is the goddess of the hunt, of the wilderness, of the moon. She is focused, goal-oriented, competitive. She values sisterhood over romantic relationship, prefers the company of women, is fiercely independent, does not want to be possessed or tamed or domesticated. She is the part of you that knows what you want and goes after it. That does not wait for permission. That does not need approval. That can be alone in the forest and feel completely at home. Artemis women are activists, athletes, adventurers, women who have a cause, a mission, a target. They are not interested in being decorative or pleasing, are not concerned with what others think, are willing to be called difficult or aggressive or unfeminine if that is what it takes to achieve their goals. Athena is the goddess of wisdom and strategy. of crafts and warfare. She is the father's daughter, born from Zeus's head, loyal to patriarchy. She values thinking over feeling, strategy over emotion, success over relationship. She is pragmatic, rational, excellent at navigating male-dominated systems. She is the part of you that can compete with man on their terms. That can be logical and strategic and unemotional. That can succeed in business or politics or academia. Athena women are lawyers, executives, strategists, women who are respected for their minds, who are taken seriously in professional contexts, but they often struggle with intimacy, with vulnerability, with accessing their own emotions or understanding the emotions of others. They are the women who are told they think like men, and they take it as a compliment until they realize what they have sacrificed to earn that praise. Hestia is the goddess of the hearth, of the home, but not in the domestic sense that Demeter represents. Hestia is about inner home, inner fire, inner peace. She is introverted, contemplative, spiritual. She does not need external validation or social connection, is complete in her own inner world. She is the part of you that needs solitude, that finds meaning in meditation or prayer or simply being alone. That is not lonely when alone but restored. Hestia women are often invisible, are the quiet ones, the ones who do not seek attention or recognition, who are content to tend the inner flame, who provide a sense of centeredness and peace to those around them without needing to be acknowledged for it. But they can be overlooked, can be seen as boring or antisocial, can be pressured to be more outgoing, more social, more visible. And in trying to meet those expectations, they lose their connection to their own center. Hera is the goddess of marriage, of commitment, of being a wife. She derives her identity from her relationship to her husband, is the queen because she is married to the king. She values partnership, loyalty, the sanctity of marriage vows. She is the part of you that wants to be chosen, that wants to commit, that finds meaning in being someone's partner, that takes the role of wife seriously. Hera women are devoted, are loyal, will work hard to maintain their marriages, will sacrifice for the relationship, but they are also vulnerable to betrayal, to jealousy, to rage when their partner is unfaithful or when the marriage they have invested everything in fails. They can become bitter, vindictive, can lose themselves entirely if the relationship ends, because without the role of wife, they do not know who they are. Demeter is the goddess of motherhood, of nurturing, of the harvest. She is the mother who gives unconditionally, who finds her greatest joy in caring for her children, who is generous and warm and life-giving. She is the part of you that wants to nurture, to feed, to protect, to provide. That finds deep satisfaction in being needed, in being the source of life and sustenance for others. Demeter women are natural mothers, are caregivers, are the ones who create abundance and warmth wherever they go. But they are also vulnerable to loss, to the empty nest, to the grief that comes when children grow up and leave, to the depression that follows when there is no one left to nurture. They can become controlling, can smother, can refuse to let go, because their identity is so tied to being needed that they cannot imagine who they are when they are no longer necessary. Persephone is the goddess of two worlds, the maiden and the queen of the underworld. She is young, passive, uncertain. She does not know who she is or what she wants, is easily influenced by others, can be the eternal girl who never grows up, or she can be the woman who has been through trauma, who has been to the underworld, who has been abducted, violated, transformed, and who emerges with a different kind of power, the power of one who knows both light and dark, who can move between worlds, who can guide others through their own descents. Persephone women are often late bloomers, are the ones who seem lost or directionless in youth, who are passive or compliant or unable to assert themselves. But if they go through the transformative descent, if they face their own underworld, they can become powerful guides, psychotherapists, shamans, women who understand suffering and can sit with others in their darkness. Aphrodite is the goddess of love and beauty, of creativity and passion. She is the only goddess who is neither virgin nor vulnerable, who is in relationship but not defined by it, who loves but does not lose herself, who is fully present in the moment, who values subjective experience over objective achievement, who creates beauty for its own sake, who falls in love because it feels good, not because it serves a purpose. She is the part of you that is magnetic, that draws others to you, that creates and transforms and brings life to whatever you touch. Aphrodite women are artists, lovers, creators, women who live in the realm of feeling and sensation and aesthetic experience. But they are also accused of being irresponsible, of being too focused on pleasure, of leaving broken hearts and disrupted lives in their wake, of not being serious or committed or reliable. They are the women culture both desires and fears, wants and punishes, celebrates and shames. These are the goddesses. These are the patterns. And you contain all of them, not equally, not all at once, not all with the same strength or consciousness, but all are present, all are possibilities, all are parts of your psychological makeup. And the work, the deep work of becoming whole, is not to choose one and suppress the others, is not to decide you are Athena and ignore Aphrodite, is not to commit to being Hera and deny Artemis. The work is to recognize all of them, to understand which ones are dominant in you, which ones are in shadow, which ones are in conflict, which ones are trying to speak but have been silenced by culture or family or your own fear. This recognition is the awakening, is the moment when you stop trying to be one thing and start acknowledging that you are many things. When you stop seeing your internal conflicts as problems and start seeing them as evidence of complexity. When you stop judging yourself for wanting contradictory things and start honoring the different goddesses who want different things. This is not easy, is not comfortable, is not what culture teaches. Culture wants you simple, wants you consistent, wants you to fit into a category so you can be understood and managed and sold to. But you are not simple, are not consistent, are not one thing. You are a woman, and that means you are many. You are all the goddesses, and they are all asking to be seen. Rest now with this recognition. Rest knowing that the conflicts you feel are not signs of failure, but signs of wholeness. That the different voices inside you are not confusion but complexity. That you do not need to choose one goddess and silence the others. That you can be Artemis in your work and Hera in your marriage and Aphrodite in your creativity and Hestia in your solitude. That you can honor all of them, can give each one space, can learn to recognize which goddess is speaking and what she needs. This is the beginning. This is the awakening. This is the moment when you stop trying to be who you think you should be and start discovering who you actually are. Multiple, complex, contradictory, whole. A woman who contains goddesses. All of them. Speaking, waiting, ready to be known. Virgin. The word carries weight, carries assumptions, carries centuries of meaning about purity and sexuality and worth. But in the context of the Greek goddesses, virgin means something different, something older, something more psychological than physical. Virgin means one in herself, whole unto herself, complete without needing another to define or complete her. Not about sexual experience or lack thereof, about psychological autonomy, about being focused on your own goals rather than on relationship, about deriving your sense of self from what you do and who you are rather than from who chooses you or needs you or loves you. This is the essence of the virgin goddesses. Artemis, Athena, Hestia. 3 different expressions of female autonomy. 3 different ways of being complete without relationship as the defining center. These goddesses were never raped in mythology. This is significant. In a mythological landscape where rape is common, where gods routinely violate goddesses and mortal women, the virgin goddesses remain inviolate. Not because they are protected by fathers or brothers, but because they protect themselves. They set boundaries. They say no. They remove themselves from situations where they might be vulnerable. They do not wait to be rescued, do not need male protection, are their own protection. This is not about physical virginity. It is about psychological integrity, about maintaining autonomy, about refusing to be possessed or defined or limited by others' desires or needs. Artemis is the goddess of the hunt, of the wilderness, of the moon. She is the archer, the one who focuses on a target and hits it. She is goal-oriented, competitive, excellent at what she does. She roams the forest with her band of nymphs, her sisters, her companions, her chosen family. She does not need men, does not want romantic relationship, is complete in her sisterhood and her mission. She is fierce, is protective of the young and the vulnerable, will kill anyone who threatens her companions or violates her boundaries. She is not gentle, is not nurturing in the soft sense, but is deeply loyal to those she considers her own, to women, to girls, to the wild things that cannot protect themselves. Women in whom Artemis is strong know what they want, have clear goals, can focus with intensity on achieving those goals, are not distracted by the need for approval or the desire to please. They are activists, athletes, adventurers, women with a cause, a mission, a target they are aiming for. They value competence, value achievement, value the sisterhood of other women who share their goals. They are not interested in being decorative, in being chosen, in waiting for someone to notice them. They are too busy doing, too focused on their own path, too committed to their own vision to care much about what others think. But Artemis has shadows, can be cold, can be ruthless, can punish harshly anyone who violates her boundaries or threatens what she protects. In mythology, she turns Actaeon into a stag and has him torn apart by his own dogs for seeing her naked. She demands the sacrifice of Iphigenia. She is not forgiving, not soft, not willing to compromise. Artemis women can be the same, can be so focused on their goals that they ignore their own emotional needs, can be so independent that they cannot ask for help, cannot be vulnerable, cannot let anyone in, can be isolated, can be lonely without admitting it, can push away intimacy because it feels like a threat to autonomy, can be accused of being hard, unfeminine, too aggressive, too much. And culture punishes Artemis, tells her she is too wild, too independent, too unwilling to be tamed, tells her she needs to soften, to be more feminine, to care about relationship, to want marriage and children, to stop being so focused on her own goals and start being focused on others' needs. Culture wants to domesticate Artemis, to bring her in from the wilderness, to make her acceptable. But Artemis cannot be domesticated without losing her essence, cannot be tamed without dying. She is the wild one, the free one, the one who will not be possessed. And she pays a price for that freedom. Is called difficult, is called selfish, is called unnatural, is told there is something wrong with her for not wanting what other women want. Athena is different, is also a virgin goddess, also autonomous, also focused on goals rather than relationship. But Athena is not wild, is not in the wilderness, is in the city, in the halls of power, in the places where decisions are made and wars are won. She is the goddess of wisdom and strategy, of crafts and warfare. She is born from Zeus's head, is the father's daughter, loyal to patriarchy, comfortable in male domains. She thinks like a man, they say, and she takes it as a compliment. Because in Athena's world, thinking like a man means thinking clearly, strategically, without the interference of emotion, without the weakness of feeling. Athena is the goddess who helps heroes, who advises Odysseus, who supports Perseus, who stands behind men and makes them successful. She is not interested in being the hero herself, is interested in being the power behind the throne, the advisor, the strategist, the one whose intelligence makes victory possible. She is rational, pragmatic, excellent at navigating systems, at understanding how power works, at playing the game and winning. She is the woman who succeeds in male-dominated fields, who is respected by men, who is taken seriously, who is allowed into rooms where other women are not welcome, because she does not threaten, does not challenge, does not question the system, works within it, excels within it, becomes indispensable within it. Women in whom Athena is strong are achievers, are successful, are the ones who make it in business, in law, in politics, in academia. They are smart, strategic, able to compete with men on men's terms. They do not complain about sexism, do not ask for special treatment, do not want to be seen as women first, want to be seen as competent, as equals, as worthy of respect based on merit. They are often the only woman in the room, and they are proud of that, proud to have earned their place, proud to be taken seriously, proud to be different from other women who they see as too emotional, too focused on relationship, too weak to compete. But Athena has shadows too, deep shadows. She is the father's daughter who has no mother, who was born from male head without female body, who identifies with masculine values and rejects feminine ones, who sees emotion as weakness, who sees relationship as distraction, who sees other women as inferior. She is the woman who says, I am not like other women, who distances herself from femininity, who becomes what Jungians call the animus-identified woman, the woman who has internalized masculine values so completely that she has lost touch with her own feminine ground, who cannot access her own feelings, cannot be vulnerable, cannot connect deeply with other women because she sees them as lesser, cannot connect deeply with men because she cannot be soft or receptive or emotionally available. And Athena pays a price. She is respected but not loved, is admired but not desired, is successful but lonely. She is the woman who realizes at 40 or 50 that she has achieved everything she set out to achieve but feels empty, who has the career and the status and the respect but no intimate relationships, no deep connections, no one who knows her beyond her accomplishments. She is the woman who sacrificed Aphrodite and Hera and Demeter to become Athena, who suppressed feeling and relationship and nurturing to succeed in a man's world, and who wonders late at night if it was worth it, if the price of success was too high, if she lost something essential in the process of winning. Hestia is the third virgin goddess, and she is the least known, the most invisible. She is the goddess of the hearth, of the home, but not in the way Demeter is, not about nurturing others, about tending the inner flame, about maintaining the center, about creating sacred space. She is introverted, contemplative, spiritual. She does not need external validation, does not need social connection, does not need to be seen or recognized or appreciated. She is complete in her own inner world, in her own inner fire, in her own sense of centeredness and peace. Hestia is the goddess who never leaves home, who tends the fire that must never go out, who provides the still point around which everything else revolves. She is not dramatic, not exciting, not interesting to those who value action and achievement and external success. She is quiet, still, present. She is the part of you that needs solitude. That is restored by being alone. That finds meaning not in doing but in being, not in accomplishing but in simply existing in a state of inner peace. She is meditation, prayer, contemplation, the inner life that requires no audience. Women in whom Hestia is strong are often misunderstood, are seen as boring, as lacking ambition, as wasting their potential. They are the women who are content to stay home, who do not need careers or social lives or external achievements to feel fulfilled. who find deep satisfaction in tending their inner world, in creating a sense of home not for others, but for themselves, in maintaining their own center. They are often spiritual, often drawn to practices that cultivate inner peace, often happiest when alone, when quiet, when undisturbed by the demands and noise of the external world. But Hestia is invisible, is overlooked, is the goddess who has no myths, no stories, no dramas, because she does nothing dramatic. She simply is, simply tends the fire, simply maintains the center. And culture does not value this, does not see this as important, sees Hestia women as wasting their lives, as being too passive, too withdrawn, too unambitious, pressures them to be more social, more outgoing, more engaged with the world, to get a career, to have relationships, to do something with their lives. And Hestia women often internalize this pressure, begin to doubt themselves, begin to think there is something wrong with them for being content with solitude, for not wanting what others want, for finding meaning in the inner life rather than the outer one. These are the virgin goddesses, 3 different expressions of autonomy, 3 different ways of being complete without relationship as the center. Artemis in the wilderness with her sisters and her mission. Athena in the halls of power with her strategy and her success. Hestia at the hearth with her inner fire and her peace. All of them whole unto themselves. All of them focused on something other than romantic relationship or being chosen or being needed. All of them powerful in their autonomy, and all of them paying a price for that autonomy in a culture that tells women their value comes from relationship, from being wives and mothers, from being chosen and needed and loved. The virgin goddesses are necessary, are essential parts of female wholeness. Without Artemis, women have no goals of their own, no mission, no ability to focus and achieve. Without Athena, women cannot navigate systems of power, cannot compete, cannot succeed in domains that require strategy and rationality. Without Hestia, women have no center, no inner peace, no ability to be alone without being lonely, no connection to the spiritual ground of being. These goddesses give women autonomy, give them the ability to be complete without needing others to define them, give them focus and clarity and inner authority. But the virgin goddesses alone are not enough, cannot be the whole of female experience, because they cut off relationship, cut off vulnerability, cut off the parts of being human that require connection and interdependence and the willingness to need and be needed. Artemis can be cold and isolated. Athena can be emotionally cut off and disconnected from her own feminine ground. Hestia can be so withdrawn that she never engages with the world. The virgin goddesses give autonomy but can take away intimacy, give focus but can take away feeling, give independence but can take away connection. And so the question becomes, how do you honor the virgin goddesses without losing the vulnerable ones? How do you maintain autonomy while also allowing intimacy? How do you focus on your own goals while also valuing relationship? How do you be Artemis in your work and Hera in your marriage? How do you be Athena in your career and Aphrodite in your creativity? How do you be Hestia in your solitude and Demeter in your nurturing? This is the challenge. This is the work of integration, not choosing one goddess and suppressing the others. but learning to recognize which goddess is needed in which context. Learning to shift, to be fluid, to allow different goddesses to come forward at different times. If you are a woman in whom the virgin goddesses dominate, you know the gifts they bring. Know the power of autonomy, of focus, of not needing others to validate you. But you may also know the loneliness, the isolation, the sense that something is missing even as you achieve your goals, the difficulty with intimacy, with vulnerability, with letting anyone in, with allowing yourself to need. This is the shadow of the virgin goddesses, the price of autonomy when it becomes the only value, when it cuts you off from the parts of yourself that long for connection, for relationship, for the vulnerability that intimacy requires. And if you are a woman who has suppressed the virgin goddesses, who has focused entirely on relationship and neglected your own goals and autonomy, you know the cost of that too. Know what it feels like to lose yourself in service to others, to have no goals of your own, no mission, no sense of purpose beyond being needed, to feel empty when relationships end or children leave or partners betray, to realize you have no center of your own, no inner fire, no autonomy to fall back on. This is the danger of suppressing the virgin goddesses, of believing that relationship is all that matters, that being chosen is the only source of worth, that you do not need goals or focus or independence because you have love. The virgin goddesses teach that you can be whole without relationship, that you can have goals and focus and autonomy, that you can be complete in yourself, that you do not need to be chosen to have value, do not need to be needed to have purpose, do not need to sacrifice yourself to be worthy. This is essential teaching, essential truth, essential part of female wholeness, but it is not the whole truth, is not the only truth, because humans are relational beings, need connection, need intimacy, need the vulnerability that comes with allowing others in. And so the virgin goddesses must be balanced, must be honored but not allowed to dominate completely, must be integrated with the vulnerable goddesses and with Aphrodite, must be part of a larger whole. Rest now with the virgin goddesses. Rest knowing that autonomy is sacred, that focus is powerful, that being complete in yourself is essential, but also knowing that autonomy alone is not enough. That focus without feeling is cold. That being complete in yourself does not mean being alone. The virgin goddesses are teachers, are guides, are essential parts of who you are. But they are not all of who you are. They are the part that says, I can do this myself. I do not need anyone. I am whole. And that is true. And that is powerful. And that is necessary. But it is not complete. Because you also need the goddesses who say, I need connection. I need relationship. I need to be vulnerable. I need to let others in. Both are true. Both are necessary. Both are you. Artemis and Hera, Athena and Aphrodite, Hestia and Demeter. All of them, all at once, all asking to be honored, all part of the whole. Vulnerable. The word itself carries weight, carries this sense of exposure, of being open to harm, of being wounded. And in the context of the goddesses, vulnerable means something specific. means deriving your sense of self from relationship, means needing others to feel complete, means being defined not by what you do or who you are in yourself, but by who chooses you, who needs you, who loves you. These are the goddesses who were raped in mythology, who were victimized, who suffered. Hera, Demeter, Persephone, wife, mother, daughter. The relational goddesses, the ones whose identities are bound up with others, who cannot be whole without connection, who are devastated when relationship fails or ends or betrays. This is not weakness. This is a different kind of strength, a different way of being in the world. The vulnerable goddesses have gifts the virgin goddesses do not. They can connect deeply, can love fully, can nurture and commit and create bonds that sustain life. They understand relationship in ways the autonomous goddesses cannot. Know the depths of intimacy, the power of devotion, the meaning that comes from being needed and needed by. But they pay a price, are vulnerable in ways the virgin goddesses are not, can be wounded by the very relationships that give them meaning, can lose themselves in service to others, can be destroyed when the relationships they depend on fail. Hera is the goddess of marriage, of commitment, of being a wife. She is queen because she is married to Zeus, the king. Her identity is relational. She is not Hera, the independent goddess with her own domain. She is Hera, the wife of Zeus. And this is both her power and her vulnerability. Her power comes from the commitment, from the bond, from the sacred nature of marriage vows. She takes marriage seriously, believes in its sanctity, will fight to preserve it, will demand loyalty, will expect fidelity. Marriage is not casual for Hera, is not one option among many, is the central organizing principle of her life, is her identity, her purpose, her source of meaning and worth. Women in whom Hera is strong want to be married, want partnership, want commitment. They are not interested in casual relationships or serial monogamy or keeping their options open. They want the bond, the vow, the public declaration, the legal and social recognition. They want to be wives. And when they find the right partner, when they make that commitment, they are devoted, are loyal, will work hard to maintain the relationship, will sacrifice for it, will prioritize it above almost everything else. Because for Hera women, marriage is not just one part of life, is the foundation, is the structure around which everything else is organized. But Hera has a shadow, a deep and painful shadow, because Zeus is unfaithful, constantly unfaithful, and Hera knows, and Hera suffers, and Hera rages. Her mythology is full of jealousy and revenge. She punishes Zeus's lovers, persecutes his illegitimate children, turns women into animals, drives them mad, destroys them. She is the jealous wife, the wronged woman, the one who cannot leave but cannot forgive, who is trapped in a marriage that wounds her but that she cannot abandon because her identity is so bound up with being wife that to leave would be to lose herself entirely. This is the vulnerability of Hera. When the partner betrays, when the commitment is broken, when the marriage that was supposed to be sacred is violated, Hera women are devastated. are consumed by jealousy and rage, cannot simply leave because their identity is wife, cannot simply forgive because the betrayal is too deep, are trapped between staying and suffering or leaving and losing themselves. And culture judges them, calls them bitter, calls them vindictive, tells them to leave if they are unhappy, or to forgive and move on, does not understand that for Hera, neither option is possible, that she is bound by her own nature, by her commitment to commitment, by her identity as wife. And culture has complicated feelings about Hera. In traditional patriarchal culture, Hera is the ideal, the devoted wife, the woman whose identity is her marriage, who stands by her man no matter what, who accepts his infidelities as the price of being queen. But modern culture rejects Hera, sees her as pathetic, as lacking self-respect, as staying in a bad marriage because she has no sense of self, tells women not to be like Hera, to have their own identities, to leave if they are not happy, to prioritize themselves over relationship. And Hera women internalize this judgment, feel ashamed of wanting marriage so much, of needing the commitment, of being unable to simply walk away. Demeter is the goddess of motherhood, of nurturing, of the harvest. She is the mother who gives unconditionally, who finds her greatest joy and deepest meaning in her children, who is generous and warm and life-giving. Her mythology centers on her daughter Persephone, on the bond between mother and child, on the devastation of loss when Persephone is abducted to the underworld. Demeter's grief is so profound that the earth becomes barren. Nothing grows, nothing lives, until Persephone is returned. This is the power of Demeter's love, and the depth of her vulnerability. Women in whom Demeter is strong are natural mothers, find deep fulfillment in nurturing, in caring for children, in creating abundance and warmth. They are generous, are giving, find joy in being needed, in providing, in watching those they nurture grow and thrive. They are the women who love being pregnant, who love the baby years, who find motherhood not a sacrifice but a calling, not a burden but a gift. They are patient, are accepting, are able to give without keeping score, without demanding reciprocity, without needing recognition. The act of nurturing is its own reward. But Demeter has a shadow too, because children grow up, children leave, and when they do, Demeter is bereft, is lost, is the empty nest mother who does not know who she is when she is no longer needed. Her identity was mother. Her purpose was nurturing. Her meaning came from being the source of life and sustenance for her children. And when they no longer need her, when they grow up and move away and build their own lives, she is left with nothing, with no purpose, no identity, no reason to get up in the morning. This is Demeter's grief. This is her vulnerability, that the very thing that gave her life meaning is temporary, that children are meant to leave, that the role of mother, if it is your only role, ends. And Demeter can become controlling, can refuse to let go, can smother her children with her need to be needed, can make them feel guilty for growing up, for leaving, for having their own lives, can become the mother who manipulates through guilt, who makes her children responsible for her happiness, who cannot celebrate their independence because it means her own obsolescence. This is the shadow of Demeter when she has no other identity. When motherhood is everything. When she has sacrificed all other parts of herself to nurture others. She becomes the devouring mother. The one who loves so much it suffocates. Who gives so much it creates obligation. Who nurtures so completely it prevents growth. Culture has complicated feelings about Demeter too. Traditional culture idealizes her. The selfless mother. The woman who sacrifices everything for her children. Who finds fulfillment in service. Who asks nothing for herself. But modern culture is more ambivalent. Warns women not to lose themselves in motherhood. Not to make their children their whole identity. Tells them to maintain their careers, their friendships, their own interests. Not to be just mothers. And Demeter women feel this pressure. Feel judged for wanting to stay home with their children. For finding fulfillment in nurturing. For not being ambitious in the ways culture now values. They are told they are wasting their potential. That they should want more. That motherhood alone is not enough. Persephone is the goddess of two worlds. The maiden and the queen of the underworld. She is the daughter. The young girl. Innocent. Passive. Uncertain. She does not know who she is. Does not know what she wants. Is easily influenced by others. Especially by her mother. She is the eternal girl who has not yet become a woman. Who has not yet claimed her own authority. Who is still waiting to be told who she is and what she should do. She is passive. Is compliant. Goes along. Does not assert herself. Does not set boundaries. Does not say no. And because of this passivity, she is vulnerable. Is abducted. Is taken to the underworld by Hades. Is raped. Is forced into a marriage she did not choose. Women in whom Persephone is strong are often young, are often uncertain, do not know what they want to do with their lives, do not have a clear sense of identity, are easily influenced by parents, by partners, by cultural expectations. They are the women who drift, who go along with what others want, who cannot assert their own needs or desires, who are passive in the face of life, who wait for something to happen to them rather than making things happen. They are often described as sweet, as nice, as easy to get along with, because they do not challenge, do not assert, do not make waves. But this passivity makes them vulnerable, makes them targets, makes them susceptible to being used or manipulated or violated. But Persephone's story does not end with abduction, does not end with victimhood. She goes to the underworld, spends time in the realm of death, and when she returns, she is changed, is no longer just the maiden, is also the queen of the underworld, has authority in the dark realm, can move between worlds, can guide others through their own descents. This is the transformation of Persephone, from passive victim to powerful guide, from innocent girl to woman who knows both light and dark, from one who is acted upon to one who has agency in both realms. But this transformation requires the descent, requires the trauma, requires going through the underworld and emerging changed. Persephone women who go through this transformation, who experience trauma or crisis or some form of underworld descent, can become powerful, can become therapists, counselors, guides for others who are suffering, can sit with darkness because they have been there, can hold space for pain because they know it intimately, can move between the world of light and the world of shadow because they have lived in both. But not all Persephone women make this transformation. Some remain stuck in the maiden phase, remain passive, remain victims, never claim their power, never become queens of their own underworld. And they suffer from their own passivity, from their inability to assert themselves, from their continued vulnerability to being used or hurt or violated. These are the vulnerable goddesses: Hera, Demeter, Persephone, wife, mother, daughter. The relational identities, the ones who need others to feel whole, who derive meaning from connection, who are devastated when relationships fail or children leave or trauma strikes. They are vulnerable because their sense of self is not internal, is not autonomous, is dependent on others, on being chosen, on being needed, on being in relationship. And when those relationships end or change or betray, they are wounded, deeply wounded, in ways the virgin goddesses are not, because the virgin goddesses have an internal sense of self, have autonomy, have goals and focus that exist independent of relationship. But the vulnerable goddesses do not. Their self is relational. And when relationship fails, self fails. This is not wrong, is not weakness, is a different way of being human, a different source of meaning. The vulnerable goddesses have gifts, can love deeply, can commit fully, can nurture generously, can create bonds that sustain life, can know intimacy in ways the virgin goddesses cannot. But they pay a price, are vulnerable to betrayal, to abandonment, to loss, to the inevitable changes that come with time. Children grow up, partners change, marriages end, and when they do, the vulnerable goddesses suffer in ways that can be devastating, that can feel like the end of self, because for them, relationship is self, connection is identity, and without it, they do not know who they are. Culture has never known what to do with this vulnerability. Traditional patriarchal culture exploited it, told women their value was in relationship, in being wives and mothers, in serving others, in sacrificing themselves, and then did not protect them when those relationships failed, did not provide for them when husbands left or died, did not value them when children grew up, used their relational nature and then abandoned them when they were no longer useful. Modern culture tries to fix it, tells women not to be vulnerable, not to need relationship, not to derive their identity from others, to be autonomous, to be independent, to be like the virgin goddesses. But this does not honor the vulnerable goddesses, does not recognize that for some women, relationship is not a weakness to overcome but a strength to honor, that the capacity for deep connection is a gift, that vulnerability is not the same as weakness. The question is not how to eliminate the vulnerable goddesses, not how to become so autonomous that you do not need relationship. The question is how to honor the vulnerable goddesses while also developing the virgin goddesses. How to be Hera in your commitment while also being Artemis in your autonomy. How to be Demeter in your nurturing while also being Athena in your goals. How to be Persephone in your openness to transformation while also being Hestia in your inner strength. How to need relationship without losing yourself in it. How to love deeply without becoming dependent. How to commit fully without sacrificing autonomy. This is the work of integration. This is the challenge. If you are a woman in whom the vulnerable goddesses dominate, you know their gifts. Know the depth of connection you can create, the loyalty you can offer, the love you can give. But you may also know the pain, the devastation when relationship fails, the loss of self when you are no longer needed, the vulnerability to betrayal and abandonment. This is the shadow of the vulnerable goddesses when they are not balanced by the virgin goddesses. When relationship is everything. When you have no autonomous self to fall back on. When your identity is entirely relational. And the work is not to reject the vulnerable goddesses. Not to become hard or independent or self-sufficient in ways that cut you off from connection. But to develop the virgin goddesses alongside them. To have goals of your own. To have an inner life. To have autonomy that coexists with relationship. So that when relationship changes or ends, you are wounded but not destroyed. Hurt but not lost. Grieving but still whole. And if you are a woman who has rejected the vulnerable goddesses, who is focused entirely on autonomy and independence and self-sufficiency, you may know a different kind of pain. The loneliness of never letting anyone in. The isolation of never needing anyone. The emptiness of relationships that never go deep because you will not allow yourself to be vulnerable. The sense that something is missing even as you achieve your goals and maintain your independence. This is the cost of rejecting the vulnerable goddesses. Of believing that vulnerability is weakness. That needing others is failure. That relationship is a threat to autonomy rather than a complement to it. And the work is to allow the vulnerable goddesses in, to risk connection, to allow yourself to need, to be open to the possibility of being hurt because that is the price of intimacy, of love, of the deep connections that make life meaningful. The vulnerable goddesses teach that relationship is sacred, that connection is essential, that we are not meant to be entirely autonomous, that needing others is not weakness but humanity, that love and commitment and nurturing are sources of meaning as valid as achievement and independence and self-sufficiency. But they also teach the cost of making relationship everything, of having no self apart from connection, of being so vulnerable that betrayal or loss or change destroys you. And so they must be balanced, must be honored but not allowed to dominate completely, must be integrated with the virgin goddesses, must be part of a larger whole that includes both autonomy and connection, both independence and intimacy, both self and relationship. This is wholeness. This is integration. This is what it means to be a complete woman, to contain both the vulnerable and the virgin, to honor both connection and autonomy, to be both Hera and Artemis, both Demeter and Athena, both Persephone and Hestia, all of them, all at once, all asking to be seen. Rest now with the vulnerable goddesses. Rest knowing that your need for relationship is not weakness, that your capacity for deep connection is strength, that your vulnerability is not failure but courage, the courage to love, to commit, to nurture, to open yourself to others knowing you might be hurt. This is the gift of the vulnerable goddesses. This is their teaching, but also know that you need the virgin goddesses. need autonomy alongside connection, need goals alongside relationship, need an inner life alongside your relational life. Both are necessary. Both are real. Both are you. Hera and Artemis, Demeter and Athena, Persephone and Hestia, vulnerable and virgin, relational and autonomous, connected and independent. All of them, all part of the whole, all asking to be honored, all part of who you are. Aphrodite stands alone among the goddesses, is neither virgin nor vulnerable, is not complete unto herself like Artemis, Athena, and Hestia, but is also not defined by relationship like Hera, Demeter, and Persephone. She is something else entirely, something that does not fit the categories. She is the Alchemical Goddess, the one who transforms, who creates, who brings beauty and passion and life force into everything she touches. She is in relationship but not bound by it, loves but does not lose herself, connects but remains sovereign. She is the goddess of love and beauty, of creativity and desire, of subjective experience and aesthetic pleasure. And she is dangerous, has always been dangerous, because she follows her own nature, her own desire, her own sense of what is beautiful and pleasurable and alive. And she does not apologize for it. Aphrodite was born from the sea, from the foam created when Kronos castrated Uranus and threw his genitals into the ocean. She emerged fully formed, adult, beautiful, powerful. She did not have a childhood, did not have parents who raised her or shaped her. She simply was, is, complete from the beginning, sovereign from birth, belonging to no one, answerable to no one. She is her own authority, her own law, and this makes her fundamentally different from the other goddesses. The virgin goddesses have autonomy but are focused on goals, on achievement, on doing. Aphrodite is focused on being, on experiencing, on the quality of the moment. The vulnerable goddesses derive identity from relationship. Aphrodite is in relationship, but her identity comes from within, from her own nature, from her own desire. She is the goddess of subjective experience, of what it feels like to be alive, to be in love, to create beauty, to experience pleasure. Women in whom Aphrodite is strong or magnetic are attractive not necessarily because of physical beauty but because of presence, because of aliveness, because of the way they inhabit their bodies and their experiences fully. They are sensual, are present, are engaged with life in a way that draws others to them. They fall in love easily, create beauty naturally, transform whatever they engage with through their attention and their passion. They are artists, lovers, creators, women who live in the realm of feeling and sensation and aesthetic experience, who value the quality of experience over the achievement of goals, who care more about how something feels than what it accomplishes. Aphrodite is the goddess of falling in love, not of marriage like Hera, not a committed partnership, but of the experience of falling, of being seized by attraction, by desire, by the overwhelming feeling of connection and passion and aliveness that comes when you meet someone and something ignites. This is Aphrodite's realm, the realm of Eros, of passionate connection, of the transformative power of desire. She does not care about practicality, does not care about whether the relationship will last or whether it makes sense or whether it fits into your life plan. Cares only about the feeling, the attraction, the aliveness, the beauty of the connection in this moment. And this is where Aphrodite becomes dangerous, because she does not respect boundaries, does not honor commitments that stand in the way of desire, does not care if you are married or if he is married or if pursuing this attraction will cause pain or disruption or chaos. She cares about the feeling, about the connection, about the beauty and passion and aliveness of this moment. And she will follow that, will pursue that, will create that, regardless of consequences. This is why Aphrodite is feared, why she is called the homewrecker, the temptress, the dangerous woman, because she threatens stability, threatens commitment, threatens the social order that depends on people controlling their desires and honoring their obligations. In mythology, Aphrodite is married to Hephaestus, the lame god, the craftsman, the one who makes beautiful things but is himself ugly. This is not a love match. It is a marriage arranged by Zeus, a marriage of convenience. And Aphrodite is not faithful, has a famous affair with Ares, the god of war, is caught in bed with him by Hephaestus, who traps them in a golden net and displays them to the other gods. She is humiliated, exposed, laughed at, but she does not change, does not become faithful, does not learn to honor her marriage vows, because that is not her nature. Her nature is to follow desire, to create beauty, to experience passion. And marriage vows, social expectations, the judgment of others, none of that matters more than her own nature. This is the gift and the curse of Aphrodite. The gift is aliveness, is passion, is the ability to be fully present in experience, to create beauty, to transform through love, to bring life force into whatever you touch. Aphrodite women make things beautiful, make experiences memorable, make people feel alive. They are the ones who create art, who throw parties, who make love an experience rather than a duty, who bring color and warmth and sensuality into the world, who remind us that life is not just about achieving goals or fulfilling obligations, but about experiencing beauty and pleasure and connection. This is essential, is necessary, is a gift the world needs. But the curse is irresponsibility, is the leading of broken hearts and disrupted lives in her wake, is the prioritizing of feeling over commitment, of passion over stability, of the moment over the long term. Aphrodite does not think about consequences, does not plan for the future, does not consider who might be hurt by her pursuit of beauty and passion and desire. She is in the moment, is following her nature, is creating what feels alive and beautiful right now. And tomorrow will take care of itself. This is maddening to those who value commitment, who value stability, who value thinking about consequences and honoring obligations. To Hera, Aphrodite is a threat. To Athena, Aphrodite is frivolous. To Demeter, Aphrodite is selfish. Because Aphrodite does not value what they value, does not organize her life around what they organize their lives around. Culture has always had a complicated relationship with Aphrodite, has always both desired and feared her, desired her beauty, her passion, her aliveness, but feared her power to disrupt, to seduce, to lead people away from their duties and obligations and commitments. And so culture tries to control Aphrodite, tries to channel her into acceptable forms, says you can be beautiful but not too sexual, can be passionate but only within marriage, can be creative but not if it interferes with your responsibilities, can be alive but not too alive, not so alive that you threaten the social order, not so alive that you follow your own desire regardless of what others think or need or expect. And Aphrodite women feel this, feel the judgment, feel the fear, feel the way culture both wants them and punishes them, wants their beauty and their passion and their aliveness, but punishes them for being too much, too sexual, too passionate, too focused on pleasure, too irresponsible, too selfish. They are called sluts, homewreckers, temptresses, dangerous women, are told they need to grow up, need to be more responsible, need to think about others, need to control themselves. And some Aphrodite women internalize this, begin to suppress their own nature, begin to try to be more like Hera or Athena or Demeter, begin to try to fit into the acceptable categories. And they suffer from the suppression of their own life force, suffer from trying to be something they are not. But Aphrodite is not just about romantic love, not just about sexual passion. It is about creativity, about the creative process, about bringing something new into being through the union of elements. This is the alchemical power of Aphrodite, the power to transform, to create, to bring beauty into existence. Aphrodite women are often artists, painters, writers, musicians, dancers, women who create beauty for its own sake, not for achievement, not for recognition, not to accomplish something, but because the act of creating is itself pleasurable, is itself beautiful, is itself an expression of life force. They are process-oriented rather than goal-oriented, care more about the experience of creating than about the finished product, more about the feeling of being in a creative flow than about what they produce. This is fundamentally different from Athena's creativity. Athena creates strategically, creates to accomplish something, to solve a problem, to achieve a goal. Her creativity is in service of something else. But Aphrodite's creativity is in service of nothing but itself, is its own justification, its own reward. She creates because creating is beautiful, because it feels good, because it brings her alive. And the product, the painting, the poem, the song is secondary to the experience of creating it. This is why Aphrodite women often struggle in professional creative fields, because those fields value product over process, value achievement over experience, value what you produce over how you feel while producing it. And Aphrodite cannot work that way, cannot create on demand, cannot produce to meet deadlines or fulfill contracts or satisfy others' expectations, can only create when the feeling is there, when the inspiration strikes, when the moment is right. Aphrodite is also the goddess of relationship as catalyst, as transformative force. She does not seek relationship for security like Hera, does not seek it for identity like the vulnerable goddesses, seeks it for the experience of transformation, for what happens when two people come together and create something new, something that neither could create alone. This is the alchemical power of relationship, the way two elements combine to create a third thing, something unexpected, something beautiful, something that transforms both participants. Aphrodite understands this, lies this, seeks this, not the stability of long-term commitment, but the transformative power of passionate connection, the way love changes you, opens you, makes you more alive, more creative, more yourself. And this is why Aphrodite relationships often do not last, because they are not meant to last, are meant to transform, to catalyze, to open something, to create something, and then to end, or to change, to evolve into something different. Aphrodite does not cling, does not try to hold on, does not try to make something permanent that was meant to be temporary. She honors the natural life cycle of relationship, the way things begin and peak and end, the way passion fades, the way people change, and she lets go, moves on, opens to the next experience, the next connection, the next transformation. This is maddening to Hera, is incomprehensible to Demeter, is irresponsible to Athena, but it is Aphrodite's nature, and she will not betray her nature to satisfy others' expectations. The question is not whether Aphrodite is good or bad, responsible or irresponsible, valuable or dangerous. The question is, what does Aphrodite bring that the other goddesses do not? What is lost when Aphrodite is suppressed? And the answer is aliveness, passion, beauty, creativity, the experience of being fully present in the moment, the transformative power of desire, the ability to create and to love and to experience pleasure without guilt or calculation or concern for consequences. This is what Aphrodite offers. This is her gift. And it is a gift the world needs desperately. Because without Aphrodite, life becomes all duty and obligation and achievement, all planning and responsibility and control, all thinking and no feeling, all doing and no being, all product and no process. And that is not life. That is existence. That is survival. But it is not aliveness. But Aphrodite alone is not enough, cannot be the whole of female experience, because Aphrodite without the other goddesses is chaos, is irresponsibility, is the leading of wreckage in your wake, is the prioritizing of your own pleasure and passion and desire without regard for others, without commitment, without stability, without the ability to sustain anything long-term. Aphrodite needs Hera to teach commitment, needs Demeter to teach nurturing, needs Athena to teach strategy, needs Artemis to teach focus, needs Hestia to teach inner peace, needs Persephone to teach depth, needs all of them to be balanced, to be integrated, to be part of a whole that includes both passion and commitment, both pleasure and responsibility, both being and doing, both process and product. If you are a woman in whom Aphrodite is strong, you know her gifts. Know the aliveness she brings, the passion, the creativity, the ability to be fully present in experience, the magnetic quality that draws others to you, the way you transform whatever you touch through your attention and your desire. But you may also know the judgment, the way culture fears you, calls you irresponsible, selfish, dangerous, the way you are both desired and punished, wanted and rejected, celebrated and shamed, and you may struggle with commitment, with follow-through, with the demands of long-term relationship or sustained creative work, with the parts of life that require planning and responsibility and thinking about consequences. This is the shadow of Aphrodite when she is not balanced by the other goddesses. And if you are a woman who has suppressed Aphrodite, who is focused entirely on duty and responsibility and achievement, you may know a different kind of suffering. The dryness, the lack of passion, the sense that life has become all obligation and no pleasure, all work and no play, all thinking and no feeling. You may be successful, may be responsible, may be committed, but you may also feel dead inside, may have lost touch with your own desire, your own creativity, your own sense of what is beautiful and pleasurable and alive. This is the cost of suppressing Aphrodite, of believing that passion is dangerous, that pleasure is selfish, that following your desire is irresponsible, and the work is to allow Aphrodite back in, to risk passion, to allow pleasure, to follow desire, not as the only value, not as the organizing principle of your life, but as one voice among many, one goddess among seven, one essential part of being whole. Aphrodite teaches that pleasure is sacred, that beauty matters, that passion is a form of wisdom, that creativity is its own justification, that being fully present in experience is as valuable as achieving goals, that love transforms, that desire is not something to be controlled but something to be honored, that aliveness, the felt sense of being fully engaged with life, is not a luxury but a necessity. This is essential teaching, essential truth, essential part of female wholeness. But it must be balanced, must be integrated with the other goddesses, must be part of a larger whole that includes both Aphrodite's passion and Hera's commitment, both Aphrodite's pleasure and Athena's achievement, both Aphrodite's being and Artemis's doing, all of them, all necessary, all real, all part of what it means to be a complete woman. Rest now with Aphrodite. Rest knowing that your desire is sacred, that your passion is wisdom, that your creativity is gift, that your aliveness is not too much but exactly right, that you do not need to suppress or control or apologize for the life force that moves through you. But also know that Aphrodite needs the other goddesses, needs commitment alongside passion, needs responsibility alongside pleasure, needs thinking alongside feeling, needs all of them to be whole, to be integrated, to be complete. Aphrodite and Hera, Aphrodite and Athena, Aphrodite and Demeter, Aphrodite and Artemis, Aphrodite and Hestia, Aphrodite and Persephone, all of them, all at once, all asking to be honored, all part of the whole, all part of you. Integration. The word suggests bringing together what has been separate. making whole what has been fragmented, creating unity from multiplicity. And in the context of the goddesses, integration means recognizing that you are not one goddess but all of them, that the conflicts you feel are not signs of confusion but evidence of complexity. That wholeness does not come from choosing one pattern and suppressing the others. It comes from honoring all the goddesses, allowing each one space, learning to recognize which goddess is speaking and what she needs, learning to shift between them, to be Artemis when focus is needed, Hera when commitment is called for, Athena when strategy is required, Demeter when nurturing is appropriate, Hestia when solitude restores, Persephone when transformation beckons, Aphrodite when creativity flows. All of them, all available, all part of who you are. This is not easy. Culture does not teach integration, teaches simplification, teaches that you should be one thing, have one identity, one consistent self, be the career woman or the wife, the mother or the independent woman, the rational thinker or the passionate lover. Choose, commit, be consistent. Do not contradict yourself. Do not want opposing things. Do not contain multitudes. Be simple. Be understandable. Be manageable. But you are not simple, are not one thing, are not consistent in the way culture demands. You are complex, are multiple, contain contradictions, want things that seem incompatible, need autonomy and connection, independence and intimacy, focus and flow, solitude and relationship, achievement and surrender, all of it, all at once, all legitimate, all real. The first step toward integration is recognizing your dominant goddess, the pattern that comes most naturally, the one that has shaped your life most strongly. For some women, this is obvious. You have always been Artemis, goal-oriented, independent, focused on your mission. Or you have always been Hera, relationship-oriented, committed, defined by partnership. Or you have always been Athena, strategic, rational, successful in male domains. The dominant goddess is the one you identify with most strongly, the one whose values feel most natural, the one whose way of being in the world feels most like home. This is not about choosing. It is about recognizing what is already true, what pattern has already been active in shaping your life. But the dominant goddess is not the whole story, is not the only goddess present. There are others. Some are active but less dominant. Some are in shadow. Some have been suppressed by culture or family or your own fear. And these goddesses, the ones not in the foreground, are often the source of your conflicts, your dissatisfactions, your sense that something is missing even when you are successful in the ways your dominant goddess values. If you are Artemis dominant, you may feel the pull of Hera, the longing for partnership even as you value independence. If you are Hera dominant, you may feel the pull of Artemis, the desire for your own goals even as you are committed to relationship. If you are Athena dominant, you may feel the pull of Aphrodite, the longing for passion and creativity even as you value rationality and success. These pulls are not problems, are not signs that something is wrong with you. Are the other goddesses speaking, asking to be recognized, asking for space, asking to be honored alongside the dominant goddess. And the work of integration is learning to hear them, to recognize their voices, to understand what they need, and to find ways to honor those needs without abandoning the dominant goddess, without losing the core pattern that has served you. This is the art of integration, not replacing one goddess with another, but expanding, making room, allowing multiplicity, becoming more complex rather than more simple. Some goddesses are easier to integrate than others. The virgin goddesses can coexist relatively easily. Artemis and Athena and Hestia all value autonomy. All are focused on something other than relationship. They can work together, can support each other. A woman can be Artemis in her activism and Athena in her career and Hestia in her spiritual practice. These goddesses do not conflict, do not pull in opposite directions. They reinforce each other, create a strong autonomous self, a woman who is complete in herself, who does not need others to define her, who has goals and focus and inner peace. This is powerful, is necessary, but is not complete, because it leaves out relationship, leaves out vulnerability, leaves out the goddesses who need connection. The vulnerable goddesses also coexist relatively easily with each other. Hera and Demeter and Persephone all value relationship, all derive meaning from connection. A woman can be Hera in her marriage and Demeter in her mothering and Persephone in her openness to transformation. These goddesses support each other, create a deeply relational self. A woman who can love fully, commit deeply, nurture generously, who finds meaning in connection, in being needed and needed by. This too is powerful, is necessary, but is not complete, because it leaves out autonomy, leaves out the independent self, leaves out the goddesses who are complete without relationship. The real challenge of integration is bringing together the virgin and vulnerable goddesses, autonomy and relationship, independence and connection. This is where the conflicts arise, where women feel torn, where culture offers no guidance because culture wants you to choose, to be either autonomous or relational, either independent or connected, either career-focused or family-focused. But you are both, need both, cannot be whole with only one. And so the work is learning to honor both, to be Artemis and Hera, Athena and Demeter, Hestia and Persephone, to have goals and relationships, to be independent and connected, to be complete in yourself and open to others. This is the integration that creates wholeness. And then there is Aphrodite, who stands alone, who is neither virgin nor vulnerable, who is in relationship but not defined by it, who loves but does not lose herself, who creates and transforms and brings beauty and passion into everything she touches. Aphrodite is the goddess of integration in some ways, because she shows that you can be in relationship without being dependent, can love without losing autonomy, can connect without sacrificing self. She is the bridge between virgin and vulnerable, the one who shows that relationship and autonomy are not opposites, are not mutually exclusive, can coexist, can enhance each other, can create something more than either alone. But Aphrodite is also the most difficult goddess to integrate, because she threatens stability, threatens commitment, threatens the structures that the other goddesses build. Hera wants fidelity. Aphrodite wants passion. Demeter wants to nurture. Aphrodite wants to create. Athena wants to achieve. Aphrodite wants to enjoy. Artemis wants to focus. Aphrodite wants to flow. Hestia wants peace. Aphrodite wants intensity. Persephone wants to transform. Aphrodite is transformation. She is the wild card, the one who cannot be controlled or predicted or managed, the one who follows desire, who creates beauty, who brings life and passion and creativity, and who can also bring chaos, can disrupt, can destroy what has been carefully built. This is her shadow. This is her danger. And this is why she is so often suppressed, so often feared, so often judged. But without Aphrodite, life becomes dry, becomes duty, becomes achievement without joy, relationship without passion, nurturing without pleasure, focus without flow, peace without intensity. Aphrodite is the goddess who reminds you that life is meant to be lived, not just endured, not just achieved, not just survived, but lived fully, passionately, creatively, with beauty and pleasure and the willingness to be fully present in each moment. She is the antidote to the drivenness of Artemis and Athena, the heaviness of Hera and Demeter, the passivity of Persephone, the withdrawal of Hestia. She is life force, is Eros, is the energy that makes everything else worthwhile. Integration means making space for Aphrodite, even when she threatens, even when she disrupts, even when she makes you uncomfortable. Because without her, you are not whole, are not fully alive, are going through the motions but not really living. And so the question becomes, how do you honor Aphrodite without letting her destroy what the other goddesses have built? How do you allow passion without betraying commitment? How do you create beauty without neglecting responsibility? How do you be fully present without abandoning your goals? This is the challenge. This is the art. This is what integration requires. The answer is consciousness, is awareness, is learning to recognize which goddess is speaking and what she needs, and learning to make conscious choices about when to honor which goddess. You can be Athena at work, strategic, focused, rational, and then be Aphrodite in your creative time, passionate, present, flowing. You can be Hera in your commitment to your partner, loyal, devoted, and also be Artemis in your need for independence, for your own goals, for time with your sisters. You can be Demeter in your nurturing of your children, generous, patient, and also be Hestia in your need for solitude, for inner peace, for time alone. The goddesses do not have to be in conflict, can take turns, can each have their time and space, can coexist if you are conscious, if you are aware, if you are making choices rather than being driven by unconscious patterns. But this requires knowing yourself, requires understanding which goddesses are active in you, which are dominant, which are in shadow, which are trying to speak but have been silenced. This is the work of self-knowledge, of paying attention to your own patterns, your own conflicts, your own longings. When you feel torn between independence and relationship, that is Artemis and Hera speaking. When you feel torn between achievement and nurturing, that is Athena and Demeter. When you feel torn between solitude and connection, that is Hestia and Persephone. When you feel torn between stability and passion, that is any of the other goddesses and Aphrodite. The conflicts are not problems, are information, are the goddesses telling you what they need, and your work is to listen, to recognize, to honor. Integration also means recognizing that different life stages activate different goddesses. In youth, Persephone may be dominant, the maiden, the one who is still forming, still uncertain, still open to influence. In young adulthood, Artemis or Athena may emerge, the goal-oriented goddesses, the ones who focus on achievement and independence. In partnership, Hera may become active, the commitment, the bond, the identity as wife. In motherhood, Demeter emerges, the nurturer, the one who gives. In midlife, Hestia may call, the need for inner life, for solitude, for spiritual depth. And throughout, Aphrodite may appear, in moments of passion, of creativity, of being fully alive. The goddesses are not static, are not fixed. Move and shift and change as you move through life. And integration means being flexible, being willing to let different goddesses come forward at different times, not clinging to one identity, not resisting change, but flowing, adapting, allowing. And integration means recognizing the shadows. Every goddess has a shadow. Artemis can be cold and isolated. Athena can be emotionally cut off. Hestia can be withdrawn. Hera can be bitter and vindictive. Demeter can be controlling and smothering. Persephone can be passive and victimized. Aphrodite can be irresponsible and destructive. The shadows are not separate from the goddesses, are part of them, are what happens when a goddess is too dominant, too unbalanced, too unintegrated with the others. And so integration means recognizing the shadows, seeing them, acknowledging them, and working to balance them, to bring in other goddesses who can moderate the extremes, to create wholeness not by eliminating shadow but by balancing it with light. This is the work of a lifetime, is not something you do once and complete, is ongoing, is constant, is the daily practice of recognizing which goddess is speaking, what she needs, how to honor her, how to balance her with the others, how to be whole, how to be complex, how to be multiple, how to be all the goddesses, not perfectly, not without conflict, not without struggle, but consciously, aware, choosing. This is integration. This is wholeness. This is what it means to be a complete woman, to contain all the goddesses, to honor all their voices, to make space for all their needs, to be Artemis and Athena and Hestia and Hera and Demeter and Persephone and Aphrodite. All of them, all at once, all asking to be seen, all part of who you are. And when you do this, when you integrate the goddesses, something shifts. The conflicts do not disappear, but they become workable, become information rather than problems, become opportunities for growth rather than sources of suffering. You stop judging yourself for wanting contradictory things. Stop trying to be simple. Stop trying to fit into categories that are too small. You embrace complexity. Embrace multiplicity. Embrace the fact that you are not one thing but many things. And in that embrace, you find freedom, find wholeness, find the ability to be fully yourself. In all your complexity, in all your contradiction, in all your goddess-given multiplicity. This is the gift of the goddesses. Not that they tell you who to be, but that they show you who you already are. Show you the patterns that are already active, the voices that are already speaking, the needs that are already present. They give you language, give you names, give you ways of understanding yourself that honor complexity rather than demanding simplicity. They show you that you are not broken, are not confused, are not failing, are simply multiple, are simply complex, are simply whole in a way that includes contradiction and conflict and the constant negotiation between different parts of yourself. This is not a problem. This is being human. This is being a woman. This is being whole. Rest now with this integration. Rest knowing that you do not have to choose. Do not have to be one goddess. Do not have to suppress the others. You can be all of them, can honor all of them, can make space for all of them, can be Artemis when you need focus, Athena when you need strategy, Hestia when you need peace, Hera when you need commitment, Demeter when you need to nurture, Persephone when you need to transform, Aphrodite when you need to create. All of them, all available, all part of you, all asking to be recognized, all contributing to your wholeness. This is integration. This is completion. This is what it means to be a woman who contains goddesses. All of them, speaking, waiting, ready to be honored, ready to be lived, ready to make you whole. The journey is complete. You've traveled far tonight, through shadows, through light, through depths most never see. Your mind has done its work. You can rest now. This is the Stillpoint, your anchor in the sea of thought, a place you can always return to whenever the world becomes too loud. Thank you for listening. Thank you for trusting this space, for trusting yourself. Sleep well. Good night.